Hope you are doing good. So in today's sessions, I'm trying to just make a quick session. Basically, it's a web form application. I'm trying to use sort procedures to make sure we are really aligned when it comes to sort procedure. As you know, everyone who and when and why we just use stored procedures. Basically, stored procedures, there is one when it's come to security, they just prevent the SQL injection by using parameters rather than concatenating the strings as we used to go from the recent tutorial that we did. Then two, the performance, the database engine, it just save the execution plan by reducing overhead for repetitive tasks. Basically, when you have too many modules, you have to call too many queries, and to just avoid that, basically when it's come to performance, use stored procedures. You are going to just increase the performance of the system. And three, when it's come to maintenance, you can just update the logic in the database without redeploying your C# code. Basically, make some changes from the DB without making some redeployment and have some build errors. And last not least, what I can emphasize is the network efficiency. Basically, a single call to a procedure replaces the entire sending log, which is the complex query string over the network. So basically that is it. I'm going to have a simple CRUD operation and use the stored procedures and try to see how I can consume them and be able to just make some operation. I'm going to move it with some of, let me try to draft something I can work on and show step by step how to design the DB, how to create those procedures, how to consume them from the backend code, and how to pull them from the front end and be able to track and make some changes. So I think that is it. So let's have a simple sign up. As you know, when it's come to sign up, it's something similar to register, and it's just to use create. As you know, when we are registering some, we're recording some data, we are dealing with create, and then you can just proceed with a simple login. We are just consuming those data from the create that we'll be doing. Those data stored when doing create, and after login, just have a simple CRUD operation. Let's say, for example, we are just recording student, something similar to that. We're going to have a table for student. We'll be recording student I, student name, std name, std email, then std phone, and std location. Basically, we'll be recording those student data. Let's say, for example, there's also this std id. Then from this std student table, you're going to have a CRUD operation. That's mean from the procedures that we'll be creating, we're going to have procedures. The first procedure is going to be stored procedure register, then stored procedure login, stored procedure create student, stored procedure for display student, then stored procedure for update student, and last not least is going to be stored procedure for delete student. So before this student table, when doing this sign up, let's try to call this table. I'm going to create a table called staff, something similar to staff, where we'll be recording staff name, then staff password, staff email, sorry, staff email, staff name, and then the staff password. And then when login, basically here we are going to log in using staff email plus staff password. Let's try to make this, as you can see, something which is simple to just implement a sign up form where we're requesting to provide the staff name, the staff email, then the password. And when they try to log in, they can log in using the staff email, then the staff password. After login, have a CRUD operation for this student table, which have student ID, name, email, phone, and location. We can just auto increment this to have uniqueness of IDs, right? Then stored procedures, we want to have a procedure for register, for login, for create, for display, update, and delete. And last not least, how we're going to do, we start with design the DB, create database. Basically, you can use this flow when dealing with this thing to make it easy. Design DB. Basically, we are going to create those tables. And last not least, just work with Visual Studio backend plus front end, right? So let's jump in Visual Studio. So let's start with SQL Server Management Studio. So as you can see, my database is just open. You can use queries if you want, right? Create database name, or just come from this graphic user interface, just come new database. We are already familiar with this from the recent video that I shared last time. Then let's call it like Auka staff DB, for example. Auka staff DB, or just call it staff DB. Auka staff DB is okay. Any name, just use any. Then create it. As you can see, it's already created. I said we are going to design the database diagram before moving to the procedures. When it's come to this, let's create those tables. As we said, we're going to have this table for staff and then a table for student. Staff name, email, and staff password. Let's get started. Table called staff. It's have the ID, which is going to be an integer. Then it's a primary key. Then let's set it as auto incremented. You come on identity specialization, then no to yes. I'm going to be fast. Staff name and varchar 50, it's okay. Staff email and varchar 50, then staff password. We are done with this table. Then the second table is going to be student. student ID is going to be an ID integer, std name, and varchar 50, std email, phone, then location, email, std phone, sorry, and var character. It's going to be phone, then std location, and varchar. Then this id is going to be a primary key, then auto incremented. Start from 1, then increment 1, or just start by 100, then increment say to anything. Make some changes as you want. So I'm not going to deal with some foreign tables. Basically, in the next video you can try to do a like a reward project, but this is just for learning. Then I save, I call it surf diagram. Yes, then as I said, after having this database design, let's jump in Visual Studio. Before jumping in Visual Studio, okay, let's jump in Visual Studio, and then first we just create procedures. So that is it. Go in Visual Studio, then create a new project. Yeah, that is it. Go and create a new project. Just search for ASP.NET Web Application. Then there is this ASP.NET Web Application.NET Framework. Move on next. Let's call it stuff, for example, project name. Just play the solution, the project in the same directory to just be able to track it. And next, when it's come to this empty, when creating this empty project, basically it's just an empty. You're going to start from scratch. You just design everything yourself. But when it's web forms, when it's this web forms, you have already a template that you are going to customize, try to work from it. And MVC, this template, is just allow you to build application using the model view controller architecture. Basically just learn it from Java, which include basically some other features that enable your to be fast, test driven development for creating application that use the latest standard. Basically you just have your template. There is you create the DB, the table, then it's just create. You just follow this MVC model view controller architecture. Then web API, that's where you have RESTful API, where the HTTP service that can reach a broad range of clients, including browsers and mobile devices or something. You have an API, then you're going to connect it with your backend development C sharp, then it's going to just work and just connect easier. Then there is single page application. You have too many tables to a big database diagram, then they're going to run on a single page application which has some prone errors. So let's just today use this web form application. Then there's also this authentication which is embedded already, but let's choose none for now. Then create. Yes, I have to take some time when creating the project because we just chose the web forms. Then there is a template that was just being generated. So let's try to run and try to see the default page that we can customize and try to match our project. Let's run the project. That's going to take some time. As you can see, we already have this template where there is application name, there is this home page, there is this about contact, all those things they are already generated. Then I can try to customize this and try to understand the structure of the project and be able to make any change that we want to have. So let me try to stop it. And as you can see, when you go on view solution explorer, let me try to pin it here. It's already pinned. Let me try to explain some key important folders that you have to know when it's come to this app data. Basically, they store the database files or database data. When you have some data, some files from the DB, they are stored in the app data. Then this content, as you can see, this content basically have the CSS file and the design file. From this template, it's just use Bootstrap. And as you can see, when you just open this content, there is some Bootstrap already that are already embedded on this content. And when you want to add some new CSS file and some design file, they are just, this is the container for it, which is content. Another thing, these scripts, as you can see, you have a script, right? The script is just for the JavaScript file easier. As you can see, .gs.map, all those things. And the last not least, site master. As you can see, this site master, right? This is a master page, eh, where there is those common layout of the website, like the header, the navigation bar, the footer, those the many template of the website. As you can see, everything that we can see here, all those template that was generated when you go back from, when you click on site master, you can be able to just get everything those class. Sorry, let me try to open this. Those navigation bar, there was a footer, right? I can try to make some changes and try to say, let's say for example, set to, then where was the application name from the header, my app. Say for example, let's try to call it, for example, staff portal, staff hub, for example, from the title of the project. Then where we had those menu, we had about contact. I can even delete those pages and then try to call this about something like staff hub, for example. Then make some changes as you want. Basically, this site master is going to just hold those layout, those header, those navigation bar, the footer, everything. And last but not least, you have this web configuration. As you remember from our desktop application, we used to have app config where we just going to have a connection string. When it's come to this web form application, they're stored in web.config. And then what else from here? There is this global.sasax. This just handle the application event, like when the website starts. As you can see, they are having some routing, basically the starting of the application. Then last not least, have this, say for example, which one else, the last one is those files that have .aspx, aspx. They are pages. They are just actual pages users see in browser. Basically, when was browsing from the menu to contact, this is the page that we were seeing, like on Microsoft Way, those things. Then there's this default page. There's also this about page. Let's say for example we want to create or add a new page, we can just add it from the root, or just have a folder created, then have some pages there. So the full structure of this, user click a button, then SPX page just execute, which is the C sharp code run, then the database proceed. When it's come to solve procedure, they're going to use them, they're going to run, and the data save in the SQL server. So that is it when it's come to this flow. So to make it easy and have a short tutorial, I'm going to just move on and then create some new pages. I said you are going to have a sign up page or a register page, which is going to have the the register form, then a login page, then a page for student where they are going to manage those students. When creating, you just right click, add new item, sorry, then go on web form with master page, then have it, let's have a page called register.spx. Then I'm going to choose my site master. Then let me create a second page, which is a login page, new item, then login page, spx, add, then last not least is going to be like student page, which is going to have just the full crude operation for student. Let me try to call it student, right? Then we have the three forms, which is the register, which is here. We have this login, we have this student, where is the student page, this one. Then let me go in the master page, then try to call them. Let's say for example, rather than having this about, let me try to have a register, then it's root slash register, then login page slash login, then last not least, we can even have from the sidebar. In the future, you can protect this page. It's a student MIS management information system, or just student management, then slash student. When browsing those page, let me try to have a simple header that say hello, this is student management page, right? Then on register, going to be hello, let's have a register page here. Then login, here is where you will log in. Then let me try to restart the project. So as you can see, this is the footer that I updated, set tutor, then have this register. Hello, let's have a register page here. Login, here is where we log in. Student management, hello, this is the student management page. So this form you can keep it or just delete it, then change this application name, but this is easy. It's web design. I think everyone have basically your knowledge when it's come to web design. I'm not going to just make some style, no, I'm going to just work on the back end and those procedures and try to see how we can consume them. Then let me go back from the DB and try to remember. Let me try to have new query. As you remember, I just said that we are going to have, uh, as I said, I'm going to have those procedures created. This one, let me try to copy, sorry, then paste them here. Let me comment them, or they can even keep them. When remember, if you remember, let me try to refresh these tables so that I may have them here. As you remember, when it's come to a register or something like sign up. We are just doing a create, right? We're inserting data in a given table. We used to have this query, right? This query like insert into our table is called staff, right? Staff, like which columns, what are the columns that we have? Staff name, staff email, like staff password, right? Then we say values. Let's say the name is going to be set. Then the email is set at gmail.com. Then the password is going to be 1234. When I run this screen, I do execute. And then let me check from this staff table, right? As you can see, the data are just saved, right? So when making this procedure, I'm going to use the same query and just try to call it from the backend. That's mean my procedure is going to be when creating procedures, let's create, right? Procedure. The procedure name is called SP register. Then uh, those those data this at set@gmail.com, those are values, right? I'm going to have those values like at staff name, which is var character. Let's say var character is 50, right? Then there is at set at email var character 50. Then last not least is at star password, which is nvarchar 50. And then we use as begin and lastly is end. Then have this query in between begin and end. Rather than having this at city, they're going to have these values from the forms, right? At tip serve password. And this is a procedure. I think it's easy, right? Then I copy this. I come I come from this database, Auka Staff TB. Rather than going the tables, go in programmability, sort procedure, just right click, sort procedure. Then I can even delete everything, then paste this one. When executing this, it's automatically created. When I refresh this, as you can see, my stored procedure is going to be created automatically. Let me wait for it. It's going to take some time. So as you can see, I have my SP register uh, created, right? Let me try to have this SP login. As you remember, when it's come to login, I can just copy this. Oh, let me make changes from here. When login, we just run this. The only difference is going to be when login, we just run this query select like all from staff table, right? Where Let's say for example, you can just log in using staff email, right? Where staff email is equal to at staff email and staff password is equal to at the staff password. This is the only difference that come when it's come to this or login. Then I can just, as you can see, I'm just using the staff email and the staff password, right? Then this name is not needed anymore. Just change the name to sp login, right? Then the query, just copy this query, then paste it here. Then we are done. This is the sp login. We have the staff email and the staff password. We select from the staff where staff email equal to staff email that was from the values, staff password equal to staff. We can even have some trigger and some conditions from here, but let's keep it easy. Go back from the stored procedure, just you can just paste it here, then execute. It's created, right? Then let me have, moving forward, if refreshing you can just have it created there, but let me move forward. uh, Let me go back and let me try to make the CRUD operation for student, those procedures, right? We are done with this. Create, basically I can just take the create stuff, then paste it to the create student, then just make some changes on values. Let's say for example this one, let me go back here. The only difference is just the name, right? Then what are the value that will be having when creating a student? I can just expand this table and try to see student table. What are the columns? We have student name, std name, right? We have std email, right? We have std student phone. Last not least is just std location. Then we are inserting into the student table. Then the values, you're going to have the student name, the student email, right? Student email, student phone, then student location. Std name, std email, std phone. Last not least is at the std location. Then that is it for create. Easy. That's, we are going to just record the student name value, student email, student phone, then student location. And when inserting, even if I can try to execute this query, it's going to add a new student. Let me try to check and try to see if it's work. If it's work, then the procedure is going to work. Set the phone, set to say then the location, see, let me try to run this successfully. Let me try to select from the student table. As you can see, the student is created, right? Then the ID is auto incremented. That means the query is going to work when it's come to this procedure. Then let me just copy this, go back from the stored procedures here, stored procedure, just paste it, then try to run this. It's created, right? Then let me go back and try to make like the edit and the update and the view, right? From the display, as you remember, when it's come to display, I'm going to change the name to display, right? And then when displaying, I'm going to display all the data, right? No value, we just have a query that say select all from student, right? Easy as that. Then when I'm trying to run this query, I can get everything from the student. That means this query is going to pass. Then go back from the procedures, then have it. When I run it, it's just created. And then let me try to have the delete. Let me go back from where I was working, which workspace was I? Am I having? Let me try to close everything. Then this is the login. So as I said, let me try to have uh, the delete button. The only difference, we just change the name, right? And when deleting, we just delete a record using the ID. I think you remember this. It's an integer, then as begin, rather than selecting all from student, we just say delete from student, right? Where ID is equal to ID. Simple as that. Then end and go. Then let me try to run it from the stored procedures. Then execute. I think you can see it's just run. Then when it's come to update, when it's come to this update, let me try to change the name rather than being delete. It's going to be update student. So when updating, remember we are going to apply an update for entire row. Basically, you choose what you want to update, and that's mean we are going to have all the values, everything as we have them here, plus the ID, right? So then the procedure is going to be update table name student set. We are setting for, we start with this. We are setting student name equal to add student name, right? Then we are setting student email equal to the value student phone equal to the student phone number, then student location equal to the value from the input student location, then where id equal to at id from the column that was selected. Then before even running it to try to make sure it's work, you can even use this procedure to see if it's going to work. I say update student set student name rather than being set. It's going to be, say for example, ad student email like ad@gmail.com, student phone 12345, student location Kigali, for example, where id equal, as you can see, have id1. Then let me try to run this. It's work right. Let me try to see if those values have been selected. Select all from student. As you can see, you have those values. That means when you run this procedure, it's going to pass. Then let me try to create it. As you can see, the video is just going to be long, but please try to understand. I just avoid to pause the videos and make them on my own. And you remember this in PLSQL when you're learning this procedure with triggers and cursors and everything. When I refresh and I make a refresh, try to see they are just created. Then what is next? I move on the Visual Studio and try to make a form for sign up with how many input. If you remember, it's just from sign up with three inputs: email, name, email, and password. Then log in with email and password and have a CRUD operation on this last not least. I can try to see how to consume to do sign up and log in, and you can just continue from the remaining because you are able to have those procedures created, and basically you're going to know how to consume them. And at 60 minutes I can just stop it and try to just make a part 2 when needed, right? Well, that is it. Staff name, email, and password. Let me go back from my Visual Studio. As you remember, I'll go on View, Solution Explorer, then I pin it. Yes. Let me go back from the register. So rather than writing, having those in text input and like div and everything, just come from, you can even come here from View, Toolbox, right? View the reduce toolbox, the one that you're familiar with. Then you can just create some text box and input, but let me try to make it myself. You just .spx, then in here just have a text box, then the id, the run at, last not least, it's going to be, let me try to have placeholder. then copy this, sorry, it's an SP, not SPX, sorry, there is a warning there. Just duplicate it and have how many? Three, right? Or if you want, you're going to go back, go on tools, design. You can use this spirit. When you have the spirit, you can just make some changes here and be able to see them here. When it's source, you just consume the source. Then the design, you can just use the design to do drop and drag and drop. You go back on the toolbox, for example. I think they must come here. Then just do drop and drag and drop. So that is it. So let me say the first is going to be, let me check from my DB, is going to be the staff name, staff email, then staff password. Let me call it like txt name, for example, txt email, txt password, for example. Then the run at is on server, similar to the 3. Then press hold, that is say, for example, enter, enter staff name, enter staff email, then enter staff password, right? Last not least, you're going to have a button which is going to have an event when clicking it. It's going to be, rather than a text box, it's going to be a button. Then let me call it btn sign up, for example. Run at server, then there is no press, hold down, is come to button. Just have a text here. Yes, it's going to be sign up, right? Then there is no event unless we just click it, right?